The lost girl in the Forbidden Valley. The sky was dark, but the two moons were shining brightly over the alien world. Eli's spaceship lay broken on the edge of a deep valley. Smoke came from the ship's engine, and pieces of metal were scattered. Around, Eli had crash-landed, and now he was alone. Eli was a young human explorer, sent to scan new planets. This one was not on any map. His instruments stopped working before the crash. Something was wrong here. He could feel it, the valley. Below looked cold and dead. The ground was gray, and strange black trees stood like statues. But as he looked closer, he saw movement. Something or someone was down there. He picked up his flashlight and started walking down the path into the valley. The light from the twin moons followed him, casting long shadows across the rocks. Then he saw her, a girl, maybe his age. She was running between the trees, fast and quiet. Her body was covered in long rags, her face hidden under a dark hood. She kept to the shadows, avoiding the moonlight like it was fire. Eli stopped. "Hey," he called out. The girl froze. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. "Are you okay?" She looked at him for a long moment, then slowly stepped back into the dark. Her voice was soft and broken. "Don't come closer, and don't let the moonlight touch me." Eli frowned. "Why?" She pointed to the sky. "The twin moons burn me, if their light touches my skin." "It starts." He looked confused. "Starts what?" She didn't answer. Instead, she turned and whispered, "Follow me, but stay low." They moved through the trees, hiding from the light. After a while, they reached a small cave hidden behind thick rocks. Inside, it was dark, cold, and quiet. She lit a small lamp made from old wires and stone. The dim blue light showed her face for the first time. Her skin was pale, almost silver. Her eyes were wide and glowing faintly. She didn't look fully human. Eli sat down. "Who are you?" She looked away. "I don't have a name anymore. I was created, grown. I was made here." Eli's eyes widened. "You were made on this planet?" She nodded. "By them, the makers. I was one of many, but the others are gone now. I escaped." Eli leaned forward. "Escaped from what?" She didn't answer right away. "They want me back, but I won't go." Silence filled the cave. Outside, the wind howled softly. Eli looked at her carefully. She seemed afraid but also strong. He tried to smile. "I'm Eli. I came from Earth. My ship crashed." She looked at him. "I've heard of Earth... in the files. You're not supposed to be here." "I didn't plan to crash," he said with a small laugh. She didn't laugh. Instead, she said, "You need to leave before night fully comes." "But it's already night." She shook her head. "No, the danger comes when both moons rise high." "That's when they come. Who?" Eli asked. She looked at the cave entrance. "The Watchers, machines with no heart. They hunt during full twin moonlight. If they see you, they'll take you too." Suddenly, there was a small sound outside. A twig breaking. The girl's eyes grew wide. She whispered, "Don't move." Eli turned off the lamp. They sat in darkness. Outside, something moved. Metal footsteps echoed in the valley. A red light scanned the trees. Eli held his breath. After a minute, the sound faded. Silence returned. The girl whispered, "We're not safe here. We have to move again tomorrow." Eli looked at her. "You don't even know me. Why are you helping me?" She looked down. "Because... You're human, and you don't know what they did to us." He wanted to ask more, but he was tired. He lay back on the cold cave floor. Before sleeping, he asked softly, "What happens if moonlight touches you?" She whispered, "It burns, then it changes me. And I don't know if I can stop it." That night while she slept, Eli woke up. He heard something outside. Curious, he stood and walked to the entrance of the cave. He moved the cloth that covered the door just a little. Moonlight slipped inside the cave. It fell softly on her hand. At first, nothing happened. Then her skin began to glow. She gasped in pain. Her hand turned bright red, like it was heating up from inside. Eli panicked. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to," she cried out. "Close it, quickly." He covered the entrance again. The light was gone, but her hand still glowed. She looked at him with fear and anger. "You don't understand. I can't be seen in the light. If I change fully, I won't be me anymore." Eli didn't speak. Outside, the twin moons moved higher in the sky, and in the distance, something began to roar. "She burns, but she won't die." The twin moons were high in the sky. Inside the dark cave, the girl's hand still glowed like a hot coal. She held it close to her chest, her face twisted in pain, but not a single tear escaped. Her eyes. Eli sat near her, shocked and silent. The soft red light from her skin pulsed like a heartbeat. "I'm sorry," he said again, his voice low. "I didn't know it would hurt you like that." She didn't answer. Her breathing was fast, but steady. Slowly, the red glow began to fade. Her skin cooled down. After a few minutes, the burning stopped. The hand looked normal again. Eli couldn't believe it. "You healed," he whispered. She looked at him. Her voice was cold. "I always heal, but every time, it gets worse. One day, I might not come back." Eli stared at her, still trying to understand. "What are you really?" She looked away. "Not fully human, not fully machine. I was built by the makers. They called us Moonburn." "Why would they make you like this?" Eli asked. Her voice was soft now, almost like a whisper. "We were made for a purpose, for war, for control. But something went wrong. The twin moons affect us in ways they didn't expect." Eli frowned. "A weapon that fears the light." She nodded. "Yes, the light gives us power, but also pain. It burns us and unlocks something inside. I've seen others lose their minds when exposed too long. They became monsters." Eli looked at her carefully. "But you're not a monster." "Not yet," she said, "but I can feel it. Every time the moonlight touches me, something wakes up, something hot, something angry." Silence filled the cave again. Then she said something strange. "When you were near me, the pain was stronger. My body responded faster. That never happened before." Eli blinked. "You think I made it worse?" "No," she said, looking puzzled. "I think you made it different." Eli felt a chill. He looked down at his own hand. Nothing strange, no glow, no heat. Just normal human skin. "Maybe it's because I'm from Earth," he said slowly. "Maybe," she replied. "Or maybe you're the reason I was made." He looked at her confused. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, a sound echoed outside the cave. A metallic whine. Then click. Click. Click like claws on stone. The girl stood up quickly. "They're here, the Watchers." Eli stood too, heart racing. "What do we do?" "We run," she said. "Now." They grabbed their few supplies and moved out through a back tunnel in the cave. Behind them, a red scanning light entered the main cave entrance. The Watchers had arrived. They ran through twisted rocks and dead trees, keeping to the shadows. The moonlight painted silver lines across the valley floor. They moved fast, jumping from shadow to shadow. Eli's foot slipped on a rock. He stumbled into a small patch of moonlight. Nothing happened. He stood up quickly. The girl looked at him, eyes wide. "You were in the light," he nodded. "Yeah, I'm fine." She stared at him, almost in fear. "That's not normal." "The Watchers, they can't go in the light either. Only the Makers could." Suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed across the valley. "Human life form detected. Subject match confirmed." Red lights turned toward them. "Run!" She screamed, but the Watchers didn't chase her. They began to move around her toward Eli. "The human is the key." The Watchers repeated. Eli backed away. "What do they want from me?" I don't know, the girl said, her voice shaking. But this is new. They never chased anyone but me before. One watcher fired a net. It missed Eli by inches. They ran deeper into the rocks until they found another hidden cave, barely big enough to crawl inside. They waited that the watchers stopped. At the cave mouth. They didn't enter. Just before leaving, one of them whispered in a cold machine voice, "She is unstable, but the human activates her." Then they were gone. Inside the cave, Eli looked at the girl. Her eyes were glowing again, just a little. "What does that mean?" he asked. She looked scared for the first time. "I don't know," she whispered. "But if they're right, you didn't just crash here by accident." The Watchers of the Moons, the third night had come. The twin moons were brighter than ever. Their light covered the land like a silver fog. From above, the valley looked quiet, but deep inside, something dangerous had started moving. Eli sat in silence, his back against the cold cave wall. The girl, still nameless, stood at the entrance, watching the moonlight carefully, as if it might reach out and pull her into the open. Neither of them had slept. Her voice broke the silence. "Do you know why this valley is forbidden?" Eli shook his head. "Because it is the heart of the project. This is where we were born, and where the Watchers still hunt." Eli leaned forward. "What are the Watchers really?" She closed her eyes for a second, then answered slowly. "They were protectors once. Machines made to guard the Maker's labs. But when the experiments failed, the Watchers were changed, reprogrammed. By who?" She looked at him. "No one knows. The Makers disappeared long ago. But the Watchers stayed behind, watching, waiting. They follow Moonlight because it powers their memory cores. They don't just see with eyes. They see with light." Eli sat in stunned silence. He finally spoke. "They said, I activate you. What does that mean?" She turned toward him, and for a moment, her glowing eyes looked less afraid and more curious. "When I'm near you," she said softly, "something inside me changes. My senses grow stronger. My heat grows faster. But so does my mind. It's like my body knows you." Eli frowned. "We've never met." "Not in this life," she whispered. A loud noise cut the air. Boom. Boom. Click. The ground trembled. A sharp red light passed by the cave. Eli and the girl froze. One of the Watchers stood outside, tall, metallic. Its body was smooth, with long limbs and thin wires moving like muscles under armor. A red core pulsed at its center. It didn't speak. It just waited. "They know we're in here," she whispered. "But they won't come in." "Why not?" Eli asked. She pointed to the shadows. "Because the cave is dark, no moonlight. They are blind without it." Suddenly, the Watcher raised one hand. Click, click. A second Watcher joined it. Then a third. "They're surrounding the cave," she said, her voice tight. "There." Waiting for the moon to shift, Eli stood. "We need to get out." "There's a way," she said. "But it's deep, below this cave. There's an old research chamber." "From the Makers?" "Yes," she said. "It's not on any map. I only found it once while running, but it has power. And it has answers." Without another word, they crawled through a tight hole behind the cave wall. It led to a narrow tunnel, then down a sharp slope. Everything below smelled like dust and metal. Finally, they reached a large door. Broken wires hung like vines. Old alien symbols were carved into the stone. Eli touched the control panel. To his surprise, it lit up with a soft blue glow. The door opened. Inside was a lab, ancient, half destroyed, but still alive with humming machines. Screens lit up as they entered. One showed a file. Subject 11B, Moonburn Prototype. Status, active. The girl stepped back. "That's me." Another screen flashed. Human DN, a match detected. Subject triggers proximity sync. Eli stared at it. "What is this?" She read it slowly. You're the match, the link. My design was never complete. I was waiting for something. For someone. Eli looked at her, stunned. You mean, I was part of the plan? She nodded. You are not just here by accident. Your DNA connects with mine. The makers didn't just create me. They left behind a key, and it was you. Before they could speak more, alarms blared across the lab. A warning flashed in alien text. Moonlight breach detected. Somewhere above, the Watchers had broken part of the cave. Light was coming. The girl's skin started to glow faintly again. Her voice cracked. I can feel it. The change. Eli ran to a panel. There's a power lock here. Maybe I can shut them out. He pressed buttons wildly. The doors started to close. But one Watcher dropped in before it sealed. Its red light scanned the girl. Then it said something strange. She is not alone anymore. The Watcher didn't attack. It simply turned and walked away into the dark. The doors locked. Inside the lab, only silence remained. The girl looked at Ailey, her glowing hand shaking. They fear what I can become when I'm with you. The heat within her. The lab was quiet. Old machines blinked slowly, like they were waking up from a long sleep. Dust floated in the air. Some of the lights still worked, casting soft blue glows across the broken walls and shattered glass. Eli and the girl stood at the center of it all. Everything around them felt ancient, yet alive. She walked slowly to one of the large screens. Her fingertips brushed over it like it was familiar, like a lost memory was hidden in its light. I've been here before, she whispered. In another life, when I was still learning how to speak, how to breathe. Eli watched her closely. Her skin still glowed faintly from the moonlight exposure. Not burning, not in pain, just warm, alive. He stepped closer. You said I changed something inside you. She nodded slowly. It's more than that. When you're near, my heat grows faster. But so does something else. What? She turned to him. Feeling. Eli tilted his head. Feeling what? Her voice dropped to a whisper. Fear, hope, pain, and now something warm. It spreads through my chest, like fire, but it doesn't hurt. Eli said nothing for a moment. Then, carefully, he said, That's emotion. She looked away. They didn't give me that. They couldn't, Eli replied. But maybe it was waiting for something real. Suddenly, the screen behind them lit up with an alert. DNA sync, level 3. Neural bridge forming. Heat signature rising. Eli stepped back. What does that mean? She clutched her chest. I feel something inside, moving. Her body began to glow brighter, not in pain but with energy. Heat shimmered around her like waves in the air. Tiny sparks crackled at her fingertips. Eli's eyes widened. Are you okay? She nodded, but her voice trembled. I'm not breaking. I'm becoming. Then the ground shook. A hidden panel in the floor slid open. A new chamber revealed itself below, round and filled with light. A single message blinked on the wall. Final protocol, awakening. They climbed down. Inside was a giant capsule. Wires, tubes, and glowing rings circled it like a machine-built throne. In the center was an empty space, shaped like her body. She stared at it. This was made for me. Eli walked around it. He found more data, strange files showing charts. Heat maps. BRAINWAVES.1 showed 2 figures. One marked Subject 11B, the other simply labeled Anchor. He pointed. That's me. She nodded. You were never meant to be just a visitor. You were my anchor, my balance. Without you, I lose control. Suddenly, her body dropped to her knees, gripping her arms. It's happening. Again, her skin blazed with light. Hot wind blew through the room. Machines began to hum. Her breath came fast, sharp. Her eyes turned full white. Eli rushed forward. What do I do? Her voice was distant, broken. Touch me. Slow the heat. He placed his hand gently on her shoulder. The moment he did, her body stilled. The fire shrank. The glow faded to warm orange. She opened her eyes. Her voice was clearer now. You stopped it. Eli pulled back. I didn't stop anything. You did. She looked at him, truly seeing him now. They feared this, she said. Not just my power, but what I become when I'm not alone. Suddenly, a screen changed. A watcher's face appeared. Not Lev, but a recording. A cold metallic voice spoke. If the anchor and the subject connect, she will awaken fully. We must prevent this. Eli stared at the message. They knew. They always knew, the girl stood. The heat still shimmered around her, but now it was calm, controlled. She walked to the center of the room and stood where the capsule was waiting. Maybe. This is what I was made for, she said. Not war, not destruction, but change. Eli hesitated. You don't have to do this alone. She smiled just slightly. Her first real smile. I'm not alone anymore. As she stepped into the machine, light poured through the room, soft, bright, golden dot, not burning, not deadly dot, and for the first time the heat within her felt like hope. Born under two moons. The light inside the chamber faded. The girl stepped out of the capsule, slow and silent. Her skin no longer glowed with wild heat. It now shimmered gently like moonlight resting on water. Ela stood still, eyes wide. She looked, changed. More alive, more human. And yet, something inside her was not of earth. She looked down at her hands. The machine didn't change me, she said softly. It finished me. Eli stepped closer. What are you now? She raised her eyes to the glowing moons above, shining through a crack in the lab roof. I was built to serve the makers. Then I was hunted by the watchers. But now I know who I am. She turned to face him. I am not their weapon. I am not their mistake. I was born under two moons, but I belong to no one. Ella's voice was quiet. You're free now? She nodded. And because of you. I feel it, for the first time. Suddenly, the room flickered. Power dropped for a moment, and a hidden panel on the wall slid open. Inside was a table with broken pieces, metal limbs, cracked visors, and data chips. Ayla stepped forward and picked one up. These were the others like you. She walked to his side. Her face was calm, but her voice shook. Yes, my sisters, my brothers, all gone. They couldn't survive the moons. Ayla turned one chip over and noticed a word scratched into it in rough letters. Hope. He showed her. She touched the chip gently. One of them believed. Even before me. Eli looked around the room. Maybe this place was never a prison. Maybe it was a beginning. Before she could answer, a deep sound echoed through the valley. Boom. Then another. Boom. She went still. That's not thunder. The walls vibrated. Eli's heart raced. The watchers? No, she said. Something worse. They ran to a screen and activated the old outside camera. A tall figure walked through the valley, larger than the watchers. Its body was made of dark metal, glowing lines across its chest. It moved with power and purpose. It wasn't scanning. It was coming straight toward them. The screen blinked. Mother Protocol Unit activated. Eli read it aloud. Mother Protocol. What is that? The girl stepped back. Her voice was filled with dread. She's the first. The one who made us all. The one who woke the watchers. Eli stared at the screen. Why now? The girl whispered. Because I finished becoming. Another screen showed a countdown. Core sync, 59 minutes and 47 seconds. Eli frowned. What's sinking? The girl turned slowly toward him. She's coming to absorb me, to complete herself, my energy, my emotions. She was never able to feel, but now I can, and she wants that. But if she takes you, I disappear. Eli stepped forward. Then we run. She shook her head. We can't. She's following the link my heat. She'll find me anywhere. He grabbed her hand. Then we break the link. She looked at him, eyes wide. How? Eli walked to the center of the lab. The machine sensed. You to me, right? She nodded. Then if we overload it, he said, we might sever the signal. The heat that shattered steel, the ground still smoked from the energy burst. Eli stood beside the girl as soft wind blew across the valley. The night was quiet now. The sky above held the twin moons like two glowing eyes, watching in silence. She stood tall, her bare arms glowing faint gold under the moonlight. But this time, her body was calm, no burning, no pain. She breathed in deeply, slowly. I feel it, she said. All of it. The power, the light, the heat. It's part of me. Now. Eli looked at her in wonder. You're not afraid anymore. She turned to him. Why should I fear what I was born to become? They walked through the valley ruins. Machines once used by the makers were buried beneath the dirt. Old symbols on broken walls still hummed with weak energy. As they crossed a cracked bridge of stone, Eli suddenly froze. Far ahead, in the distance, he saw something move. It wasn't the Watchers. It was something faster, sharper, multiple. They're coming, he said. She narrowed her eyes. They felt the burst. They're responding. Within seconds, 5 Watchers emerged from the fog. But they looked different now, upgraded. Their arms glowed with new weapons. Their voices were sharper. Target is unstable. Terminate or retrieve. Eli stepped in front of the girl. We're not going anywhere. One Watcher raised its weapon. Before Eli could move, she stepped forward. Her voice was steady, calm, dangerous. You don't give orders anymore. The Watchers fired, but the girl didn't dodge. She raised one hand. Her skin shimmered, and the air around her rippled. The heat exploded. Waves of pure thermal energy burst from her body, melting the nearest Watcher mid-air. Its parts hit the ground like soft metal. The others paused, recalculating. She moved faster than Eli had ever seen. In seconds, she was among them. Her hands glowed white-hot. Every step she took cracked the ground beneath her. One Watcher fired a net. She caught it. The wires burned in her hand. You fear your own creation, she said coldly, and threw the net back. It wrapped around 2 Watchers and ignited, turning them into fire. The last one tried to run. She looked at it, and it froze. Her voice turned sharp. Tell the others. I am not your experiment. I am not your weapon. She raised her arm. A thin beam of heat shot from her palm, silent and focused. It sliced through the Watcher like paper. Then all was still. Eli walked up behind her, careful. You melted steel. She turned to him. Her glow was fading again, soft and warm. I didn't just melt it, she said. I broke their control. Eli was speechless for a moment. Neither of them said a word. Then she looked at the moons again. Do you know why they feared me? He shook his head. She whispered, because the light doesn't destroy me. It awakens me. Eli took a breath. What now? She looked over the valley, quiet, empty, peaceful for the first time. I finish what they started. I find the others. They buried, the ones who never got a chance. And I light the fire they tried to kill. Eli smiled. You're not a weapon anymore. She nodded. I'm a spark. Then she turned to him. You should leave soon. The sky will open soon. This planet isn't kind to humans. Eli hesitated. What if I don't want to leave? She looked at him softly. You gave me a reason to become. That's enough. But Earth still needs people like you. He reached into his bag and handed her something small, a human beacon. If you ever want to come find me, this will show you the way. She took it, gently, as if holding something sacred. I'll remember, she said. They stood together, silent under the 2 moons. The girl who once feared the light now burned brighter than both of them. She feared the moon until she found a heart. The ship rose from the broken valley, slow, quiet, rising like a ghost from the past. Inside, Eli stood near the window, looking down at the land he never meant to find and would never forget. The valley was glowing under the twin moons, but she was no longer hiding. Far below, the girl walked through the ruins. The same moonlight that once hurt her now followed her like a crown. Her footsteps melted the frost of fear this place had held for years. She had changed everything. She had changed herself. In her hand, she held the small human beacon Eli had given her. It blinked softly, a quiet pulse, like a heartbeat. Not long ago, she had been afraid of that beat, of feeling anything at all. Now, she welcomed it. As Eli's ship passed the edge of the atmosphere, his voice played one final message into the wind. To whoever finds this planet next, know that something powerful lives here. Something made, but not owned. Watched, but not controlled. She was built in shadows, but she chose her own light. The girl stood on the cliffs and heard his words through the static. Her lips moved softly. Goodbye, Eli. Then she turned. Behind her, old systems were starting to wake. The hidden labs, the memory vaults, even the broken watchers once silent, now listening. She reached a large stone wall and placed her glowing palm on it. The wall opened. Inside, she saw dozens of pods, cold, silent. She walked among them slowly. Each one held a face, pale, sleeping, waiting. They called us dangerous, she whispered, but they never gave us a choice. She reached the center of the room, raised both hands. Her heat spread across the walls, not to destroy, but to warm. The pods responded. Lights blinked. Hearts started to beat again. She closed her eyes. I feared the moon because it made me burn. But now, I burn for them. From the surface, twin moonlight poured through cracks in the rock, touching her skin, her hair, her eyes. This time, she didn't scream, she smiled. Outside, the valley began to change. Ice melted. Machines restarted. The sky shimmered with color. The planet wasn't dead. It was waking up. And at its heart stood the girl who had once hidden from the light. Now, she was the light. And far away, drifting in the stars, Eli watched the moon rise from space and whispered. She feared the moon until she found a heart. Now, she's the reason I believe in life again.